Check out the brand new Genestealer Cult releases for this week. Spiky bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today. Alright, welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. Baer here again today with Wave 1 of the Genestealer releases. Actually, I lied. I don't have the dice because they were limited edition and I didn't want to. There was only one set that came in my local store and I was like, hey, just, sell it to somebody else. But they look pretty fresh. They were like a translucent kind of purple that kind of shimmered when you look through it. And the symbol wasn't on the 6, it was on the 1, so it was a little disappointing there, but they looked pretty fresh, so I could see why people want them so bad. I think it was $20 retail there. So pretty cool looking stuff, but I left it for somebody else because there's a lot of fans of the 4-armed emperor out there, so to speak. So this is this week's releases, or at least everything else that came out. Of course, the Codex too, but we did that in a separate first look video, so check that one out here on the channel as well. So getting into it, we got the Acolyte Hybrids kit, the Neophyte Acolyte Hybrids, the Neophyte Hybrids, and the How to Paint Miniatures guide, which I think is a fantastic deal for $10 with all the info that's in there, and the very last data card set, unfortunately. Now this only has the tactical objectives as well as the psychic powers in it. There's no additional like chart for, the cult ambush rules or anything like that, which was a little saddening. I would have liked to seen that, but it's still, it still is functional, obviously. But, giving us those game aids is kind of, what I want. Like, I want to buy a pack of this with each unit card for all of these sets here, and I just want to go at it. But we haven't seen it yet. Maybe we'll see it in the future. Maybe that's why they're getting rid of the data cards, but who knows what's going on exactly. Okay, so let's jump right into this one. I know you guys are dying to see the new miniatures, but let's talk about the paint guide, because the paint guide is actually pretty sweet for $10. Now, it's just a 35-page, 32-page supplement here. It's got a lot of information in it. So first of all, it's got an introduction, giving you your basic techniques, good to go. Then it goes into painting a pure strand Genestealer, 2 different types of flesh, weapons, the Primarch, and then it gets into 8 different cult color schemes, which I thought was pretty neat. And then of course the favorite color combinations, which give you an idea, like in the very back here, how to mix and match some of the colors. Now remember, some of this stuff is GW Direct only. Depending on how big your local game store is, you might be able to walk in and get them off the shelf. You might not. There are some colors out there. Let's see if any of these. I actually think Dark Reaper is one of those that was discontinued from the retailer line. I think everything else is still in stock generally. Yeah, it looks like it is. Okay, so that's good to go. So let me show you some of the excerpts from here. So of course it goes into the basics, like this is how you layer, this is how you dry brush. Stuff that some veterans out there might already know, some stuff that, people returning and getting into the hobby might want to brush up on their skills, because now is a great time for the hobby, because there's so many ways to supplement your knowledge and, to really add those tools to your hobby tool chest, between all the YouTube channels, the sites out there, all the dedicated people and the folks really pouring their hobby love out there and cataloging it for everybody to see. Now, this is probably the first time I saw a Dark Flesh tutorial from Games Workshop that I actually liked. This looks legit. I am gonna use this recipe for sure moving forward, because this one's pretty solid. Of course, light flesh here. Now, in the new White Dwarf this week, there's a masterclass article on how to do flesh, and it's a lot more involved than all of this, but this is great for beginning, for a how to paint guide. Fantastic, believe me. And then it gets into the Patriarch itself, like I said, jumping into all of the different color schemes for some of the cults, the particular cults from different high fleets, I guess. It's not really a high fleet, but I guess it's what the precursor to, I don't know, maybe they adapt when they eat these guys and the high fleet becomes those colors, because those colors are probably natural camouflage for the planet. I don't know how it all works. I'm not a biologist. I don't know this stuff, but the cool thing is they give you the basics and then they split it. Like if you just want to do it quick and dry brush, boom, there you go. If you want to layer it, come down here. I really like this technique that they do, because those are 2 different, obviously this is going to take longer, this is going to take less. But conversely, you could always just go in and base coat stuff and then come back and detail this, you know, so you do half the time there too. And that's kind of like what I'm doing with, or what I did with my Ogre Beast Claw tutorial over on the channel as well. So there's that particular product, $10 retail, pretty dope. Now, here's the data cards. Like I said, just your standard data cards, which, you know, apparently is the last set of data cards from, wow, apparently I can't open them. That's pretty embarrassing. Well, here we go. Boom! Okay, so the back graphics, pretty dope. It's got the Magus right there. And then, of course, you've got all of your tactical objectives, more tactical objectives, and then the Broodmind disciplines right there. So, standard stuff that we've seen, no extra cards in here whatsoever, but, you know, it kind of makes sense. So you've got the 36 cards and then the extra cards if you want to do the Genestealer specific, I guess, tactical objective things there. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this release. Of course, is the brand new Neophytes and Acolytes. Now these guys are brand new, so you're not going to find these. Well, some of the options in here, and some of the options in here too. But conversely, you could always get the Deathwatch Overkill box, which comes with, I think, 20 of these guys, and I think 10 of these guys, which is super affordable once you start doing a price breakdown on it. It's a really good deal considering that the Magus, the Magnus, the Patriarch, and the Primus are all a separate kit now out of that for $60. And then, of course, the Deathwatch figures themselves are $65. So right there, you're $125. The kit is only $165 retail. So you're basically paying $40 for, I mean, these are $40 each right here. You know what I mean? So it's a good value. Now, there isn't as many poses or options. So there's that. But, you know, you just got to vote with your money and afford what you can for your new army there. So let's take a look at these hybrids here. These guys are basically, you know, your classic guardsmen gone bad. You know, they're a little bit more clever. They have access to the specialized weaponry of the, you know, Subterran culture, the mining culture or whatever. You know, you got the seismic cannon thing and, you know, pickaxes and crazy stuff there. You can see on the back, they did go into a lot more options. Now, the leader has both an auto pistol and a normal gun too as well. So he gets an extra attack, which is pretty neat to see. Of course, you got flamers. Mining lasers, which is basically those 24-inch las cannons that are heavy. So if you can find a way to get relentless, it's pretty good. The seismic cannon, and then of course a cult icon and stubber right there. Now the kit itself, pretty amazing. I won't lie, like I was really impressed by it. It's 2 sprues. Now these guys are all, let's zoom in a little bit on this too. Now these guys are all super multi-part. Like it's none of that, like, you know, slicing and dicing that they do for some of the bigger stuff or some of the more wonkier looking kind of models that come out, you know, stuff like the Blight Kings, you know, from Age of Sigmar. So all of these guys have pretty much, you've got all your heads, all your torsos, all your legs. You've got the special weapons, you know, like the mining lasers right there, the seismic cannons right there. You got a couple flamers, a couple random shotties, auto guns, a couple of options there. But as far as the grenade launcher, of course, as far as the heavy weapons, you only get 1 of each. So you basically get everything you need in the kit. Now the heavy weapons are 32 mils, and the rest of the guys, oh, they're so little. They're on 25s, but that's okay. The next box you'll see it is a little bit bigger. Now, something I was talking about with the game aids, and I realized this with Age of Sigmar, is you can actually take these, cut them out of the instruction manual and actually lay these out on the tabletop. Now, some of them are a little bit bigger than smaller depending on the size of the kit, but that is a great substitute to making something on the computer and doing all that mumbo jumbo. You just cut it out, right? Boom, right there. You can even laminate it if you want, you know what I mean? So that's kind of cool. You can make copies of it, you know, put squad names on it, etc., etc. It's super easy. I'm an easy kind of guy. I just want to get this stuff done, and on the tabletop, I'm a functionality kind of guy. Iron Warriors at heart, right? But, you know, a lot of folks out there, they want to razzle-dazzle it, make it look all hot and everything, and there's nothing wrong with that. Believe me, if I had that kind of time, I would be all about it. But I don't, because I'm doing this, which I don't mind at all. That's what we're here for. So there's that, and then we take a look at some of the guys here. Like I said, completely multi-part, very cool looking stuff. You know, left and right, torso halves, legs, all sorts of weapon options right there. This is the embodiment of the dope multi-part kit that we've all come to know and love from Games Workshop, which is great to see because these guys can be kit bashed with basically, you know, any guardsman out there, I guess except for the Catachans because they're a little bit bigger scale. But you know, all the varieties. Now, some of the Forge World stuff's probably going to be a little too small. Like the Deathcore guys are ridiculously small and fiddly, but although highly well detailed, and I have a bunch of them myself. I love them. There's your special weapons, how they go together. There's even a tripod for the seismic cannon. That thing's nuts. It's got 2 modes of fire with resonance, and resonance, if I remember correctly, is, I think it's on a 6. It counts as AP2, I believe. I think that was it. Or it's strength 10, AP1, I forget. Actually, I think that's some of the close combat weapons, which we'll see here in a minute. So scratch that, it's AP2, I'm pretty sure. But then again, you can just check your codex as well, right? So there's this heavy stubber. So all sorts of great looking stuff, and then basically how the guys look with and they have shoddy options or the regular. So it'd be cool that there's a bunch of shoddy options left over, you know, because people are always loving some shoddy guns. There's just something about running around with a shotgun that people seem to love. I mean, I don't get it at all. Who doesn't love running around with a shotgun, right? So that's that kit. I think, man, this is one of the tightest new kits we've seen in a long time. Now, granted, it's not a Astartes, it's not in power armor, but you know what? I'm okay with that because, let's be honest, there's enough Space Marine kits out there. It's time to get some newer, cooler stuff, and these guys have Kit Bash City written all over them, if you know what I mean. Now, next up, actually, let me flip to a page here because I want to make sure I'm quoting things correctly, because I want to give you a little bit of a rules breakdown for these bad boys here. The resonance is, yes, it's AP1, not 2, so there you go. Now, here is the other hybrids. These are the fatties. They're on 32mm bases. They're basically the close combat kind of shock troops. Now, there's 2 different varieties in here, which you're going to see right here. You got the Metamorphs and just standard hybrids, right? These guys all have the Billy Badass close combat weapons, like, that all sound the same in true Games Workshop fashion, right? So you got the heavy rock cutter, the heavy rock drill, the heavy rock saw. Guys, come on, give me something here. Give me something to differentiate all this stuff. Anyways, but you kind of get what I'm saying there. So there's the rock cutter, there's the rock drill, which definitely looks very like belongs on Centurion, and there's the heavy rock saw, which I think looks the coolest of all of them. Of course, you got demolition charges. I don't think anybody could argue that that's a demolition charge right there. You know what I mean? And then these guys up here have all their crazy close combat weapons. They're strong hands. It's my strong hand. These guys are crazy. I don't know what's going on with them. Anywho, let's take a closer look at the models themselves. So there's that. And like I said, big bases. All right. So here's the kits. And like I said, they're basically completely multi-part that we've come to expect. The one thing we love most about Games Workshop, I was actually talking to Kenny the other day, Next Level Painting. He was like, yo, my brother, you know, he's doing all this conversion work and stuff for some things. He's like, man, I hate how these computers, you know, they're not making it as posable as they used to be, which is true. So just the fact that they're sticking to their guns here and they're making this totally convertible, totally posable, which I think is one of the things that we all look for in Games Workshop. So you can kit bash these guys with all sorts of manner of things because they're basically Space Marine size now. So why not have maybe convert up some Space Marines? You could even use some Catachan arms or something because they're on the kind of the same scale there. Might not work so well with Guardsmen, but you kind of get what I'm saying here. So there's everything. They basically share the same legs and the same torsos, but then their weapons can be completely different. You've got the traditional Genestealer kind of, I don't know what that head is called. I'm not a biologist, but you've got your traditional kind of looks with a few mutations and then some more specialized stuff here as well. Now, I really like the heads on the normal troopers, the neophytes. Those guys look dope. They kind of remind me a little bit of Riddick, if you know what I mean. But, you know, they might have taken their inspiration from that. And of course, you got all the power packs, all the demo charges, basically everything you need. There's your saws, which I think are the better looking one. Your cutter right here. And I actually don't know what that close combat weapon is, but we'll take a look in the instruction manual here in a second. So very good looking kit. I am thoroughly impressed with this. I think for $40 for 5 guys, yeah, you know, it's like eight bucks a dude or whatever. But I mean, it's pretty cool looking stuff there. And like I said, there's a lot of other games not getting new models like we are. So sometimes you just got to be thankful for what you get, and every hobby is expensive. You just got to vote with your dollars what you enjoy. Now, here's the assembly. Like I said, left and right torsos, legs, they're all shared, and then they get into more specialized stuff, you know, depending on how you want to build it out. Now, the standardized hybrids, you can take the Lashweb Bone Sword, which, you know, isn't a bad choice. We all know that's pretty good. Now, the Metamorphs have more specialized close combat weapons. Now, the Bone Sword is still AP3. It still has life drain. But, you know, on these guys, let's take a look at I believe they're strength 4, but they're only toughness 3. Hybrids are strength 4, toughness 3, yeah. So, you know, it could happen. It might not be worth taking, but keep this in mind too. When you're playing in-game, these guys can disappear back into the shadows, and if the guy, you know, the sergeant with the Blast Weapon Bone Sword actually died, you could get him back for free once you respawn the unit if you take it as part of the detachment. So it's something to keep in mind. Like, yeah, it's pricey, but you might be able to get it back, kind of like Necron style. So that's kind of cool to see. The Cult Icon guy, and like I said, all sorts of head options. Very amazing looking stuff. There's your Rock Cutter. I don't even know what to make of that. That looks more at home with the Orcs and Tyranids, I feel like, but it's still cool. Demolition Charge, you know, basically this guy just running around with some demo charges. Here, cats. Reminds me of those little grunts from Halo, like with the plasma grenades. Ah! Oh boy, and you shoot them in the head and they explode into confetti. I love it. There's the Heavy Rock Saw, the Heavy Rock Drill. Oh, that was the drill. Okay, yep, that makes sense. Because I was like, I didn't think these guys could get super shooty weapons, but yep, that explains it. Very cool looking stuff there, and then it gets into the Acolytes. Boom, right there with the different heads. Now, all of these guys, I believe, come with rending claws. Yep, they sure do. And blasting charges, which is assault grenades. We know they need that. So these guys, you know, once you start thinking about it, you're like, man, I don't know. I'd rather take whatever. Think about this. They have assault grenades. They have rending claws, so their attacks on 6 or you know, AP2. Very cool stuff there. They have a close combat weapon. They have an auto pistol. They have 2 attack space. Now think about this for a second. So they're attacking on the charge with 4 attack space for 8 points a model. They're on par with Orcs, but look at their weapon skill, 4. Now we know there's several psychic powers that can give them rage. They can give them +1 to their strengths and things like that. Now it starts becoming this layered attack of, yeah, they might not assault, but if you let these guys assault in with 4 attacks, possibly 5 attacks based off the rage, like, that's gonna hurt anybody out there, especially with all these crazy combat weapons. For instance, the Heavy Rock Cutter is strength times 2 AP2. The Heavy Rock Drill, strength times 2 AP2, but it pulverizes, which basically, I think on a 6, it can make a single attack at strength 10 AP1. So it's very similar to Smash. And then the Heavy Rock Saw, again, strength times 2 AP2, but it's Armor Bane, 2-handed unwieldy. So that thing is used to take out vehicles, basically. You know, if you can't do it already at strength 8, you got Armor Bane, right? So, man, there's some serious hard hitter guys right here, you know what I mean? And then you jump into the Metamorphs, and they have all sorts of crazy accoutrements. They have the rending claws, they have the auto pistol, the Metamorph Talon, and the Metamorph Talon just lets them be +1 weapon skill. So now they're hitting on 3. So you kind of have to weigh, is it worth the extra 5 points to the overall squad to get the +1 weapon skill? They have the same special rules, and they have blasting charges. They have 2 attacks right there. So I don't know, you know, that you just kind of gotta point it out and kind of see what you want to take. Now, all of their weapons are more, I guess, more crude, not more in your face. They're all strength of user, so strength 4, which can be augmented by the psychic powers. AP5, melee. Now they have special rules like the claw can get +2 bonus to strength, which would get you up to strength 6, I guess. So that's kind of cool, but it's still AP5. A model equipped the scythe gets +1 to all weapon skill, which they all believe they all come with, because the Talon comes with scythe, so they all have that basically. And then the Lash gets a +3 bonus to initiative during the fight subphase. So having the grenades and having +3 initiative could be good at initiative 4. I don't really know what you need to be initiative 7 against that you would send these guys after, because they seem kind of mid-range, mid-level as far as rules goes, but you know, they have their place. We might not know it right now. Like I said, this this codex is very layered, and there's a lot of layers of threats. I can tell you, if you start losing a lot of models on the tabletop, these guys start looking pretty dangerous to your enemy, you know what I mean? So it's really hard to say. I don't want to judge them yet. Everything seems to have a place in this codex, which is really, really, really interesting once you start looking at it. So great looking models, again, very cool stuff. A $40 kit that I think is, I mean, conversion potential amazing. This new stuff we're seeing, and then the stuff for next week, you know, they just keep coming in fresh with all these conversion sprues. It's almost like they want us to convert this stuff. You know what I mean there? So that's it for this one. Thanks for hanging in there. I know it went a little long, but we showed a lot of product. And we got the White Dwarf video this week, as well as the Codex video and the new Silver Tower releases too. So make sure you check out all those great videos here on the Spiky Bits channel, and drop us a subscribe up on the top bottom right corner. It's like right there.
Deleted scenes, bonus content, and all the interviews and post-game wrap-up videos can be located in the Hall of Veterans on thelongwar.net. Visit thelongwar.net today and try a week completely free with no strings attached. That's not all. Thelongwar.net is also your hobby resource for exclusive early access with an ad-free experience to all your favorite videos. Members of the Hall of Veterans gain early exclusive access to multiple hobby videos,